have followed the ghost detectives in their tireless quest to prove the existence of ghosts. Today, they arrive at the White Hart Hotel in St. Albans and begin to set up their array of high-tech surveillance cameras. The team believe they have the latest equipment to detect paranormal activity. Cameras will be set up in the areas of the hotel which have the most alleged sightings of ghosts. These areas will be monitored 24 hours a day.
I think first thing to do is see if they've got step.
Overseeing the investigation, team leader Ross Hemsworth.
So that's that sort of, yeah, that's rigged. All right, we've got two cellars in here, one down there, and one here. And what interests me is there appears to be what used to be a tunnel there.
Right, yeah, that's very likely because the cathedral's just across the road. Apparently the town was a maze of tunnels underground.
Assisting the team in this investigation is Ruth Stratton.
Right.
She has carried out extensive research on St. Albans' paranormal activity, which dates back thousands of years. She takes Ross on a guided tour of the hotel and advises him where best to place cameras to catch the ghosts on film.
Yeah, we're cool with that. We're just going down your other cellar, okay. But we're only going to get a part of it. We're either going to get that part or we're going to get that part. You think so?
I would say, yeah.
Okay. So if we clamp to here, Andy, if we clamp the first camera in here on this one. Yeah, use one of Justin's clamps. Clamp the camera here so it gets as wide a shot as possible of this area here. Okay, so the other one then is check out this other staircase.
And room 8.
Oh, and room 8, yeah.
Are we in room 8 at the moment?
We are, just for tonight. We're only
right, okay.
Tonight.
Well, St. Albans has a lot of ghosts. There's actually a ghost tour that goes around here once a week. There's the old cathedral for a start, which is very haunted, and the sound of ghostly choir has been heard there. And also there's an very old part of the town going down from the cathedral towards the Fighting Cock's Inn, which is supposedly the oldest inn in England. But some of the streets down there, the Fishpool Street and Romeland, they're all very old historic places. And a shop in the High Street, which is one of the oldest houses in the town, that's got a ghostly seamstress apparently who was jilted in love and she killed herself, and she supposedly haunts that. It was this end of the restaurant because the lady was sitting over there when she told me, and she pointed to this end.
So ideally this camera needs to be moved to that end.
That's right, so we need to look back at this end.
Okay.
There are 3 approaches: camera and technical surveillance, clairvoyant sensing, and finally historical research. If a clairvoyant senses a ghost's presence, which is then photographed and attributed to an historical character, then the ghost detectives think there would be clear and conclusive proof of paranormal activity. However, this has yet to happen. The problem facing the ghost detectives is that the hotel is very busy at this time of the year, and the rooms which are believed to be haunted are booked. The team then have to monitor rooms and areas as and when they can. Let's hope that whatever lurks in these dark rooms is friendly and not shy of people or cameras.
Yeah, there was all sorts of people walking past the shop.
As the team settles down for their first long day, something unexpected happens. Without warning, one of the screens in the control room goes blank. The camera it's connected to is monitoring the basement, an area where lots of paranormal activity has been reported. The team rushed to investigate the cellars.
Yeah, this minicam was rigged up in the cellar, which is the cellar under the restaurant. Something appeared to pull the cable. No, I don't know what it was, certainly wasn't us. And it's physically wrenched the cables out of the minicam. And because it's wrenched them out of the minicam, obviously the minicam's gone off. Now, that said, normally if you wrench or pull on the minicam, what will happen is it'll tilt up on the tripod, or the tripod will fall over. For the wires just to come out and the minicam to stay exactly where it is and the tripod not move is pretty unusual. And there's a physical force there because part of the wire is still connected, so it's physically been pulled with some might.
Perfect, thank you.
I'm trying to find some logical way that someone could have pulled that without realising. But 2 of us were standing here, nowhere near the lead. The other person was down in the lower cellar, also nowhere near the lead. So whatever it was is strange, I have to say. I can't at the moment think of any logical reason why that would have happened.
Despite the fact that no one appeared to tamper with the camera, psychologist and skeptic Dr. Christopher French believes there might be a more plausible explanation.
In everyday life, all kinds of things can happen. You know, equipment can malfunction, you can hear a strange noise, you can pick up a strange odour from somewhere. You don't normally give these any kind of great significance. In the paranormal context, suddenly you do. I mean, I know I will do, if I'm doing a lecture on the paranormal and the slide projector breaks down or there's a sudden noise from somewhere, I'll make a joke about it. I'll say, oh, the spirits are out. I'll make some kind of comment. It wouldn't even occur for me to do that if I was doing a lecture on something that was not related to the paranormal. The context is all important.
As far as you know,
The team feels this is an exciting start to the investigation and hope that the camera incident might be just the tip of a paranormal iceberg.
This is room 8, and this is the most haunted bedroom in the hotel. Here, a gentleman guest came out of the shower one day to find some writing on the mirror in a chalky, sort of childish hand, and the message said, "Meet me in room 7 at 8:30.
Right, they say, how can I help?
Hello there. Yeah, sorry to be a pain, but someone's written on my mirror in my bedroom.
That's strange.
Overnight, apparently.
She came upstairs, she rubbed it off. She went back down and said to him, it's okay, I've rubbed it off.
It's all sorted for you now, so okay.
Oh, that's brilliant. Thanks very much indeed.
Sorry about that.
Okay.
Then he went back upstairs and it was back again while there'd been nobody in the room. Also, there's been an indentation on the bed here, as if somebody's been sitting on the bed when there's been nobody else in the room. A gentleman's been seen at the end of the bed, and also, when they've come to put the towels on and tidied them up, they've been thrown about again by an unseen hand.
Either the guest's luck was in that night, or ghostly spirits were at work.
We're here.
The Ghost Detectives' high-tech surveillance equipment has so far shown no paranormal activity. So phase 2 of the investigation begins. The team calls in clairvoyants Paul Hanrahan and Marion Goodfellow to conduct a psychic investigation of the White Hart. Both clairvoyants believe the human soul lives on after death. Furthermore, they believe they have the ability to actually communicate with these souls.
That's room 7, which is supposedly the same.
Paul and Marion go straight to the areas where there have been the most reports of paranormal activity, rooms 7 and 8. They will have to be quick, as the rooms are due to be occupied by hotel guests later in the evening.
Out here, what we're trying to do is link into the energies that are in this room to glean information from those energies. The most important thing is, when you're coming through the door, is to bring your common sense in with you.
This is the first time that Marion and Paul have entered the rooms. What feelings will they sense, and who or what might they find?
We each have guides. I particularly have 2 guides. One that helps me with my clairvoyance, and indeed with the psychometry of the building when we first start. I have another guide that helps me as I'm trying to translate into images the people that I feel impressed.
Both clairvoyants believe they have supernatural guides that can help them measure paranormal activity and visually identify the spirits they sense.
Take me in there, it's quite strange.
I can smell out there the heat, the chickeny smell. So there's an odour that fowl make that's quite, there's no smell like it, and I can smell that wafting up.
Evie Scully Carter was the White Hart's landlady until last year. She remembers guests reporting strange smells in room 7.
There was a very distinctive smell, especially in room 7. People would come along and say, "Is this place haunted?" And I would say, "Why?" And they would always say, "I can smell." And I've never ever told anyone what the smell is, but people that have actually witnessed it have smelt the distinctive smell. It's not a stink, it's a very distinctive smell. And it only appears in room 7.
I can smell lime as well. Lime.
Whatever the clairvoyants think they sensed, the cameras have not backed them up. Later that evening, Paul and Marion discuss the feelings they appear to sense during their walk around.
The psychometry in that particular room was quite awesome. I found it quite awesome. And, you know, I mean, I had to sit down when I came outside of it. I felt really, really poorly. I felt as if something had totally drained me of all my energy. It's almost as if the road would have gone straight through there. As I was going...
Confidence is running high. The ghost detectives believe something will be caught on film, and things have only just started.
Something like that. I'm feeling so emotional. I just...
Why does Marion become so overcome with emotion in the cellar?
The ghost detectives are on the trail of ghosts in one of Britain's most haunted hotels, the White Hart in St. Albans. But will they make contact with those wishing to tell their harrowing tales? I hope so. Oh, yes. The ghost detectives are on the trail of ghosts in one of Britain's most haunted hotels, the White Hart in St. Albans. But will they make contact with those wishing to tell their harrowing tales? I hope so. Oh, yes.
It is the morning of day 2, and the investigation team has failed to capture anything on film. Clairvoyants Paul and Marion decide to walk around the rest of the White Hart in order to see just how much paranormal activity they think is present in the rest of the building. They claim they can sense personalities, events, and even the feelings of the dead.
But I really do feel that there's...
Accompanying both clairvoyants will be Ruth Stratton, who will take notes to help the historical research part of the investigation.
violence, either directly outside this...
First of all, we collate the evidence that we've got, and then we'll send the researchers out and see if they can find a William, a John, a Nellie, a Mary, and, you know, see if we can attach them to this building.
I feel like
Yes, they could be of my imagination, but if my imagination is that good that I can actually imagine people that existed, had names and had times when they lived in this building, then, and I don't think I am very special, there's something really strange going on, you know, and my ability isn't unique. I honestly and truly believe that everybody's born with this ability. I think that as children, we tend to utilise it a lot more than we do when we're older.
It's a little bit uncomfortable to stand up in here because one's taller than I suppose the average person would have been when this was built. It's quite easy what we do, but I spend an awful lot of time meditating and working on myself, on my own development. The only thing that can hurt you is your own fear. You just control your own fear, use your common sense. Spirit aren't going to hurt any of us.
Well, I could see orbs. I could see orbs above Ruth's head. I've got one in between the pictures. I've got lots of orbs in here. It's almost as if they're welcoming us. They want us to see them. There's a strange smell.
And I just want to say, I feel that this person had... It's a strange word to come, but it's the word that's been given to me. Something to do with debauchery.
I wouldn't like to sit here for a meal. You might get more than you bargained for sitting in this place.
I've suddenly gone very hot, as if I've got a fever or some sort of virus.
With everything that's just not nice. It's bugs and fleas and... When I get to that point there, I just felt like somebody was trying to stick their fingers down my throat. I could do it again. It's so here. It is so just there.
Now there's an energy down here.
We leave the ghost detectives to their investigation and look into a ghostly occurrence at the White Hart in St. Albans. There is nothing so sad or tragic as the untimely death of a child. Perhaps that's why we come across so many stories of childlike apparitions. Again, the White Hart does not let us down. For many years, visitors to the old pub have spoken of a small, playful spirit that runs from room to room like a little girl. This mischievous figure displays all the curiosity of a child let loose in a world full of adults. Perhaps she's waiting for a stagecoach. Perhaps she's waiting for her mother to collect her. Or maybe she was the child of a landlord or barmaid from many years ago. Some say that she's a child in need of help, others that she simply wants to eavesdrop on their conversations. But nobody can tell us why or who she is or why she's waiting and waiting in the White Hart.
I had two psychics come in one day. They used to come in quite often. And they went in the restaurant and sat there. And this lady went into a trance and she was doing all sorts of weird things and said, there's blood everywhere. There's been a massacre, there's blood. And there's a little girl stood there in the fireplace and she's listening to everything you're saying. She wants your help. She's listening to you. She wants your help.
I'm feeling so emotional. I just can't get out. I can't get out. There isn't a way out. I just want to get out. Come on. I just want to get out. I can hear things, I can hear noises and they're making me frightened. I can hear bangs and groans and scrapes and bumps. And it's almost as if I'm frightened of ghosts. I'm frightened of ghosts. The ghosts are in here, the ghosts are in here. And it's like as if somebody's been absolutely terrified in here. Somebody must have been closed in at some time. The lights must have gone out. It must have been really dark. And I'm feeling their abject panic.
At the local archive, Ruth Stratton discovers that in 1803 a 5-year-old child was burned to death when fire raged through the White Hart. It was also reported that she had been trapped in the cellar after being locked in there as a punishment for being naughty. Whether or not the ghostly appearance of a little girl is that of the unfortunate child who died in the fire remains to be seen. As the second day of the investigation draws to a close, the clairvoyants decide to hold a séance, a meeting where they believe they can contact the dead in the reputedly haunted room 8.
Rather than Paul giving off the energy. You've done it before, it's fine.
Mm-hmm.
You know the setup.
Yeah.
We're joining hands. We've already done the prayer. And we're relaxing. Okay. Totally relaxing. We gather together, we try to link together, relax ourselves down, and really try and open ourselves up to open our minds really to that pre-sleep state where you invite the images and the thoughts to come into your mind, so much so that you completely relax and you allow those thoughts. You give them voice and you allow those voices to come through and try and glean information from them.
That's a nice song. Who are you?
Marion appears to send several different spirits.
Hello. Hello.
Nice.
What's your name? Sarah. And how old are you, Sarah?
I'm older than John, and I think John is 5. The really awkward part about it is that while you're doing that, you're sometimes not aware at all of anything that's going on. So you rely on somebody like Andy to ask questions, take notes, and just generally try and remember what's been going on.
What are you doing here? Do you live here? Have you lost somebody? A wife? Is it your wife? You do receive information. I can't explain how it works, but it does. It just seems perfectly natural when we are doing it.
Yeah.
And you feel safe in the group.
As usual, I came back just before...
Clairvoyant Paul Hanrahan has not said anything during the séance, but appears to have had a spirit who wished to speak. Paul is not pleased.
Just at a crucial point, I was passing her over. She was gone.
Oh, God.
Did she?
You ignored Sir William.
Sir William?
He's classed you as a vagabond.
Me? What? When did he come through?
He was there.
When?
I don't know when. We also had a Nellie, a servant girl who died from pox.
Why didn't they come through?
You'd have to
come through in trance.
Who were they trying to come through? Me? Maz? You? Sorry, Sir William, I didn't know you were there.
What we're trying to do is link into the energies that are in this room to glean information from those energies. Really, it's quite as simple as that.
Marion begins to draw pictures of the spirit she sensed. Who was the little girl? And who was the mysterious Sir William, who showed so much displeasure at being ignored?
When I'm drawing these pictures, I haven't an idea in my mind of what's going to come out. I just put pencil to paper and just let it go, basically. And it never ceases to amaze me that how these people just erupt from the page, don't they? And you know, I was just looking at this one here, actually, Paul. I think this is father and son.
Could be. There's a resemblance there, isn't there?
On the morning of day 3, all is quiet. However, Ross Hemsworth, chief investigator, has become excited by one of the pictures Marion drew last night.
Look up on the ceiling. Now, this is supposedly a watermark, although compare it to what Maz drew.
He is convinced that it bears a striking resemblance to a mysterious watermark caused by a leak, which strangely appeared one week, the source of which was never traced. Furthermore, the mysterious watermark is on the ceiling that is below the allegedly haunted room 7.
Weird.
People will often see faces in all kinds of images. There was a great example I came across recently of Selhurst Park, the home of Crystal Palace, where there's a fantastic, if you look at there's an aerial view of the pitch, and there's a fantastic Turin shroud-like image there of Christ. Now, you know, maybe it's God moving in very mysterious ways, or maybe it's just the fact that we tend to see faces. You think when you were a kid you used to look at wallpaper, the patterns in wallpaper, you'd see faces in it. The brain is actually programmed to pick up on faces. Faces are incredibly important stimuli in terms of evolution and so on, and specific parts of the brain are programmed just to deal with faces. So I'm personally not convinced. I mean, I think if you were to take any, well, in fact, I know that if you take any random patterns and say to people, right, find as many faces as you can in there, people can find faces.
Could this be the face of one of the White Hart's most infamous ghosts?
It seems that every haunted building has a grey lady, and the White Hart is no exception. Apparently, many visitors walking past a window on the ground floor have spotted a mysterious grey face looking out at them. Who could she be, this grey lady of the White Hart? Perhaps she is none other than the accident-prone Elizabeth Wilson, who last visited the pub in 1820 when it was a thriving coaching inn.
Are we nearly there? Are we nearly there?
Sit down. Now come off it. Don't get so excited.
Young Elizabeth was travelling up from London. According to some, she was a lady of ill repute, yes, a member of the oldest profession, in fact. According to others, she was just a poor girl who couldn't afford to travel inside the coach, and so she had to sit up on top with the driver. Whatever she was, there's no doubt that she was excited about her journey, so excited, in fact, that she ignored the coachman's entreaties to be seated and instead stood up to get a better view of where the coach was headed.
Is that it? Is that it?
Sadly for Elizabeth, the coach was heading for the archway into the White Hart's courtyard, and she was heading for disaster. As the coachman lashed the weary horses one last time, the excitable young Elizabeth stood up one last time, oblivious to the stone archway. Her death was instant and bloody. Beheaded in the prime of life, this unlucky girl never knew what hit her. Perhaps that's why her ghost still wanders through the corridors of the White Hart, unable to cross into the other world and to eternal peace. Or so the story goes.
Whatever the clairvoyants think they sensed, by the end of the third day, nothing yet has been caught on film.
There was a few other things he brought through as well, which were quite interesting, but nothing physical that we can see, unfortunately.
However, why is Andy so excited?
Would you believe it?
And who or what could have done this to clairvoyant Paul Hanrahan?
At the White Hart in St. Albans, the ghosts have proved elusive despite the expectations of the clairvoyants. However, this could be about to change. At the White Hart in St. Albans, the ghosts have proved elusive despite the expectations of the clairvoyants. However, this could be about to change. Watch.
Despite the clairvoyants sensing considerable paranormal activity, the Ghost Detectives equipment has so far failed to capture anything on film.
7 o'clock, it's 7:35, I know.
Andy Matthews believes he can sense areas that are experiencing paranormal activity and begins taking digital photographs.
Apparently an apparition has been seen in this chair. I wasn't aware of this when I took the photograph, but hey presto, I snapped one off and there's one hovering in the chair. We'll see if I can get the same thing again. You never know, 1 in 10 chance. Let's see what happens. Would you believe it? Got another one. That's unbelievable. Let me take another one just to make sure. Oh my God. It's actually moved and it's got larger. Let me take another one.
Andy appears to have taken pictures of round discs of light. On every investigation so far, these unexplained lights have been photographed on the digital stills camera. What could they be? The Ghost Detectives have a theory and believe they are the departed souls of dead humans. Essentially, that they are ghosts. They seem to come in different sizes, and the Ghost Detectives even believed that this one had a face when the photo was enlarged. The most spectacular pictures of these strange lights, or orbs, were shot on a previous investigation at Bowden House in Devon.
Oh my God!
What's that? Look! Look!
Halfway through the night shift, the surveillance team suddenly began to see strange lights on the monitors. Here, for the first time, these objects they call orbs appear to be caught on video. They are invisible to the naked eye, but can clearly be seen on the team's minicam. At Bowden House in Devon, they were convinced they were in contact with a ghost called Alice.
It is Alice. I'm so sure. I sent out a message to her. I sent out a really positive message saying, if it is you, please stick around because we're not going to turn our backs on you if we catch you on camera. So I just sent out an energy to her, and I really think it's so playful. It's bounding around everywhere, and it's exploring all corners, and it's going over to the chair, so perhaps she knows the spirit in the chair, I don't know.
Haven't seen anything out yet? Oh, hold on. It's still by the chair. It's by the right arm. It's rising upwards.
Just like electricity all through me, like a palpitation. Totally.
Okay, it's like behind the chair. It's behind the chair. Up towards the ceiling now. It's above the candlestick.
For paranormal investigator Andy Matthews, the signs are physical.
Okay, what we seem to have here is a number of playful orbs flying around everywhere. It's never been captured before, and hopefully it's going to come out as good as it sounds. But the atmosphere in here is electric. Our whole body, from head to toe, is just like pinpricks. Static electricity, something like that. Can't describe it.
Could these mysterious images be proof of what the ghost detectives have been saying for years? Or was this just a trick of the light? Back in St. Albans, Andy explains his method for photographing orbs.
What I generally tend to do is I walk around a location or walk around the area, see if I can pick up any changes in the atmosphere or like a temperature drop or electrical kind of charge is usually the kind of feeling that you get. Or sometimes you get this basic intuition to take a photo there for whatever reason. So I'm walking along, one of my colleagues, and suddenly I'll go, wallop, what are you taking a picture of the ceiling for? And then when we actually look back, we get an orb.
Chief Investigator Ross Hemsworth examines the pictures Andy took on the stairs outside room 8.
This is an interesting one. Slightly different to some of the other orbs that we've got in that this one appears to be moving. If we can blow this up a little, you'll see there's a physical trail behind it coming through and almost into, well, it looks like it's coming out of the wall and coming around and moving. There's the straight orb shape, so we've still got the same configuration, but it's moving forward and we have the trail behind it. Now what's interesting with these is if we actually invert them to a negative, it gives really a clearer look at what we're seeing. We're seeing the ball here quite clearly, and then the vapour trail behind it. So we have an interesting picture.
Though no one can explain what these strange objects are from the previous investigation at Bowden House, not everyone is convinced it is paranormal activity.
Now, I mean, I'm not an expert on cameras or optics or anything like that, but it did strike me that one fairly obvious possibility is that we were always using the flash there and that we were maybe picking up on reflections of some kind. And I mean, again, this would account for a lot of the kind of reports that we were getting, that sometimes the orb was there, sometimes it wasn't, sometimes it was larger, sometimes it was smaller, sometimes it wasn't there at all, because it would depend on the specific conditions, and just a slight movement of the camera might mean that you got it on one image but then not on the next one that looks superficially very similar. So I would want to see explanations like that ruled out before I start resorting to some kind of explanation in terms of paranormal phenomena.
The final day of the investigation is drawing to a close, and the cameras have caught nothing on film. However, clairvoyant Paul Hanrahan is drawn to a building next door to the White Hart.
As I'm standing here, which is obviously part of the building that the pub was, there's a lot of energy in this room underneath here. But it's as if the energies in this room aren't very happy with what's been going on in here. They're very strong. It's just, as you walk up to it, you can feel this barrier. I just feel that whoever's been in here before aren't happy with what's going on.
The building that has caught Paul's attention was originally part of the hotel, but is now being renovated and converted into a shop. However, it is right below the allegedly haunted Room 8 and contains a mysterious mural that appears to depict a Shakespearean play. As night falls, the team becomes convinced that a seance in the shop next door to the White Hart is their last chance to make this investigation worthwhile.
It's a tight fit, actually.
No, it's just right.
That's right for a lady, isn't it?
Paul Hanrahan went into trance in this room earlier today, and we had a tip-off that something might happen here this evening. Now, we're not sure what. We understand it may have a connection with William Shakespeare and possibly Sir Francis Bacon. Now, we don't know quite what's going to be said or what's going to be offered, but it has something to do with the mural. And what we're told is to set a camera up, face it at the mural, get the three of them in the room, leave them, lock them in here on their own, with none of us here, no camera crew, nobody, just let the cameras run and something will happen. So we're going to do exactly that. We're going to set the cameras up, let them roll, and see if we get anything.
Despite the significance of the trance Paul fell into earlier, we were not allowed to film him, as the ghost detectives felt that the subject matter was too sensitive. The following is what they filmed.
I am the woman Marion.
The seance begins and immediately appears to make contact.
Hello, William. Greetings.
Could the William that appears to be speaking through Paul be the same Sir William who tried to communicate last night?
What was your line of work, William? Are you players? Or playwrights?
As the seance continues, the clairvoyants become more and more convinced that they are communicating with the spirit of William Shakespeare, and that he's trying to tell them something significant.
What's your friend called Francis Bacon? Do you go by the name Shakespeare?
Did you write many plays together? You must have been indeed very close friends. Shared thoughts and ideas.
Suddenly, the tone of the seance changes dramatically. Paul seems to go into deep emotional shock.
No, you need to get out of here. Okay, let me take you out of here. I know. I'll go away as soon as you get out of here.
Just take him.
It's cold as well.
It's the cold against you.
No. Come on. Okay. Open the door.
A few moments later, the three clairvoyants have composed themselves and try to piece together what happened.
I knew he was getting tired. The energy was getting tired. You were getting tired because he's using.
Unbelievably, Andy, Marion, and Paul think the spirit of William Shakespeare contacted them. Furthermore, they believe he was trying to tell them that Sir Francis Bacon was in fact the true author of some of his works. Of course, for hundreds of years there has been a debate about the true provenance of Shakespeare's plays.
No, but that he would speak to us again. He isn't just the greatest playwright of all time. You know, he was...
The ghost detectives still believe they have made an important breakthrough, despite having only limited information from the seance.
But I'm just hoping, well, I know he's going to come back. I know he is. But I'm just hoping that, you know, we can catch him here while we're here. That'd be wonderful.
The final day, and the investigation is nearly over. Ruth Stratton searches the local archives to see if she can find any further evidence that supports the team's amazing claims.
In 1726, the first theory was put forward that it was Francis Bacon that actually wrote Shakespeare's plays. And there were a growing group of people who actually believed that this was the case. Francis Bacon would have had the knowledge of court life and the politics which are in Shakespeare's plays. Also, St Albans is mentioned 15 times in Shakespeare's play. I think it's Venus and Adonis here, yeah, or in Shakespeare's works, whereas Stratford, Shakespeare's hometown, never is. Another suggestion is that a group of authors, possibly headed by Francis Bacon, actually wrote the plays. And this St Albans Bacon-Shakespeare link is further sealed by the discovery of the mural in 1985 in the White Hart of Venus and Adonis. If it was discovered in Stratford, we'd all be saying, yes, Shakespeare wrote his own plays, but why would it be discovered in St Albans, the home of Francis Bacon?
We saw an inscription, an engraving done in 1623, which I think sums it all up. This dummy with its vacant stare is lauded by Ben Jonson's rare. What must have been the artist's task to fashion such a grisly mask, and to contrive as here displayed the ill-cut coat so disarrayed. So wisely we are asked to look, not on his picture, but his book, for here our poet is concealed, till Francis Bacon be revealed.
The ghost detectives found that the White Hart in St Albans was indeed the final resting place of the little girl killed in the fire. They also found that the Hotel Archway did cause the sudden and brutal death of Elizabeth Wilson on her way from London. However, no one can explain Paul's sudden reaction during the second séance. And how was the wire forcibly removed from the back of the camera in a room which was empty? How did that happen?